Joe Biden is not putting kids in cages, people. And I mean that literally. Trump wasn't putting kids in cages. Joe Biden isn't putting kids in cages, okay? But at least the progressives are being consistent in this regard because they're complaining about Joe Biden's new child migrant overflow facility that happened to be boxes with bars on the windows. I guess that was the reason why they were saying Trump was putting kids in cages, because holding cells are fenced in. And so they called them cages, but that's just a framing device. Look, I can at least give credit to the progressive left for being consistent. And I think we can all come together and join hands with AOC and smack talk the establishment Democrats who cried and vomited all over themselves because Donald Trump was putting kids in cages when he really wasn't. But now they're saying literally nothing when Joe Biden is once again detaining children and taking them from, well, I'll say their families. But there is a bigger question about why this is happening. And I'll tell you this right up. First of all, I'm not going to outright defend what Donald Trump or Joe Biden was doing. I can at least say Donald Trump inherited the homestead facility for detaining these migrant children. It was from the Obama administration. Well, surprise, surprise that Joe Biden brought it back. It was his administration. Well, it was Obama's, but he was in it when these things were put together. So let me just say very, very simply, the reason they do this, the simple reason, just because some guy is got some little girl by the hand does not mean they're related. And so the big challenge is, what do you do? Do you let these people come in and just assume the guy who might be a child trafficker is related to this child? It's very difficult. The challenge here is that it may be 99% of people who come in with children are the family. But what about that 1%? Do we say, well, you know what? We don't want to, hurt potential families, so we'd rather let this child go with this potential trafficker or legit trafficker if there actually is, like 1 in 100. I don't know what the exact number is. It may be more than that. I'll tell you what's really, really hilarious about what Biden is doing. You see, it's not all bad progressives. Let me just hold your horses. AOC slams Biden's administration for reopening Texas migrant facility for children who cross the Mexican border alone, and Miami shelter Kamala Harris that protested outside of in 2019. Okay, so let me just. It's not all bad, okay? Joe Biden is ending one of Trump's draconian deportation migrant policies. And I know AOC and many other progressives can come out and celebrate this because Joe Biden is ending Operation Talon to deport child offenders. Wait, I'm not kidding. So you mean to tell me that Joe Biden has opened up migrant detention centers and then he ended the program to stop those who are trafficking these kids or abusing them? You know what? I don't even know what's going on with this guy. Okay, because that makes no sense. I'm sure there's a way to frame it for the progressives to make it seem like a victory. Operation Talon, they called it. They could say, well, it was unjustly targeting people for deportation. But these are like the worst possible criminal offenders you can think of. I mean, why is Biden doing that? So that's the issue I have, because I can be like, look, the kids are being held because they don't got parents in this circumstance, especially, and because they don't know who their parents are. But if Biden was going to be if Biden was taking these kids out of a fear that they were being trafficked, like that's the assumption, then why would he shut down Operation Talon? So I can only say I agree with AOC on this one. I agree. Like when Donald Trump had the whole thing going on, I was like, look, we have to stop, the traffickers. And then Trump started Operation Talon. I'm like, you see, we got problems, man. I'm not going to pretend to be the expert. But if Joe Biden's going to end Operation Talon and then still detain these kids in these facilities, I'm like, okay, now I don't know why he's doing it. Because he's just cruel, I guess. No, probably not. I don't know. Or callousness, whatever. Here's a story from the Daily Mail. They say AOC blasted the Biden administration Tuesday for reopening a temporary influx center for unaccompanied minors in Carrizo Springs and a shelter in Miami, Florida, where now Vice President Kamala Harris protested outside of in June 2019. You know what? My respect to AOC on this one. I'll criticize her when she should be criticized, and I think that's often. But here we go. I fully expected AOC and many leftists to stand by what they believed in this regard. And if that's your opinion, so long as it's a legitimate opinion, I respect it. And like I said, I agree. Now normally I didn't agree with their protesting of Trump's, homestead facility. That's what it is in the Miami area. because it was Biden and Obama's, but at least you knew why Trump and the administration were doing this. They wanted to end trafficking. Kamala Harris, she protested Trump. Now she's literally part of the administration bringing it back. These people are evil. They lie to you. So I can tell you one thing. When I look at some of these progressives, many of them, I'll tell you this. I think they genuinely believe what they believe. Not all of them. There's a lot of grifters, but the right's got their grifters too, I suppose. So there's a lot I've criticized AOC for. I really do think she's disingenuous. But if she's being true to her principles right now, or, well, then whatever. Great. Fantastic. Quote, "This is not okay. Never has been okay. Never will be okay, no matter the administration or party." That's what AOC tweeted in reference to the Washington Post. She said, "Our immigration system is built on a carceral framework. It's no accident that challenging how we approach both these issues are considered controversial stances. They require reimagining our relationship to each other and challenging common assumptions we take for granted." I actually agree with that. No matter what stance you take, it's considered controversial. Lock the kids up. Let the kids go. Either way, we've got a serious problem. I don't know. I'm not going to say that AOC has the answer, but I can respect at least, she's coming out and saying, hey, you notice that's an issue, right? I'm not necessarily sure what she's saying on both these issues or what the approach is. But I'll tell you, whatever her intent was, it is true that if you come out and say these kids should not be detained, period, it's like you want them to wander through the desert, walk into nowhere to go. Okay. And then if you say these kids should be detained in these facilities, you're like, then these facilities are like bare bones, like she said, carceral. And so I can respect it. I'm not going to pretend to know the answers, but I understand why both issues are controversial. She says it's only 2 months into this administration and our fraught, unjust immigration system will not transform it in that time. That's why bold reimagination is so important. DHS, see, now here's where we disagree. She says DHS shouldn't exist. Agencies should be reorganized. ICE gotta go, ban for-profit detention, create climate refugee status, and more. All right, let's break this down, AOC. First and foremost, DHS should exist. I'm not a fan of DHS. I'm not a fan of federal law enforcement agencies. I understand why they exist. They need reform and we need better accountability. But I think we do need law enforcement agencies. And I think the whole abolish DHS or whatever is look, it was created under George W. Bush. It brought a bunch of agencies under one roof and allows for more centralized planning. And I think that makes sense. I don't like the overarching abuse of power that we've seen. I don't like the Supreme Court, or I'm sorry, federal court rulings before allowing collection of metadata and illegal spying and all that stuff. So don't get me wrong. I'm not a big fan of these federal law enforcement agencies that abuse their power. But I think the whole abolish DHS or ICE is a meaningless statement. That's just a tribal signifier. I don't think it means anything, right? Agencies should be reorganized. Yes, I think so. Probably not in the same way as AOC. ICE gotta go. Why? Why does ICE gotta go? What are you going to replace it with? What happens when you have these kids? Well, I guess it's CBP for the most part. No, I'm sorry. Immigrations and Customs Enforcement, I believe that's what it is. They don't gotta go. That makes no sense. Ban for-profit detention. I agree with that one. I do. I don't think there should be a profit incentive driving businesses to detain migrants or anybody for that matter. I'm not a fan of private prisons. I know a lot of people have said private prisons are usually better or whatever. Listen, in Michigan, there were judges that were basically selling children to juvenile detention centers because they were for profit. These judges are criminals. I know. And it's hard to say that, look, a crime is a crime. You're not supposed to do it. If people break the law, simply saying get rid of the whole system because some people broke the law doesn't make a whole lot of sense. But the point I'm making is that these private facilities are incentivized to get kids in jail. They'll lobby for worse laws. We don't want that. I'm very much on the libertarian spectrum on this one. Innocent until proven guilty. I'm not a fan of cash bail for that reason. I don't think I have all the answers. I understand there are criminals. It's tough. It is. But I agree with AOC. Ban for-profit detention. I'm not a fan. Now, the problem I have with the climate refugee status thing is that these people that are pushing this, proponents of this, doesn't AOC have like an infinity pool on her roof? It tends to be these people who live in these luxury buildings. They fly private jets, not AOC, mind you, but you've got these high profile individuals buying beachfront property. As far as AOC is concerned, I'm pretty sure she lives in like a luxury condo in DC that's got like an infinity pool on the roof. Maybe I'm wrong, but you gotta sacrifice. You know what I mean? Far be it from me, because I live in I got this massive production facility, to tell anybody they should be sacrificing, for whatever reason. But we still do try. We do. Like we use biodegradable products. We recycle as much as we can. Not that it's a perfect solution, but we do try. I think the challenge is everyone's got to do a little bit. So I don't know about this climate refugee status. I can say I don't know what the solution to this is. I know no matter what you do, people are going to be screaming and fighting over it. And I can respect progressives who are coming out and basically slinging mud at Joe Biden where he deserves it. Biden and Kamala Harris screamed about Trump, blamed Trump. Many of these establishment media types and Democrats were posting photos from the Obama administration and blaming Trump for it. Like they mentioned, Kamala Harris was out in front of the Miami facility protesting, and now they reopened it. Talk about a duplicitous, nasty person. Oh, just the worst possible liar. It's amazing. They said the government said it needed to expand its facilities because of the coronavirus pandemic. Officials told the Post that their capacity had been cut in half because of the space needed to adhere to proper social distancing protocols. Sure. Well, here we are now. Joe Biden's child detention centers are now bursting at the seams. I don't know what you want, man. I don't know what anybody wants. Look, I'm not a fan of this, but I understand that you can't just... I would probably lean towards the controversial position that we gotta have these kids in some kind of holding facility. Maybe we could make them better and more comfortable, but it costs money. And then the problem is incentives. The solutions to human problems are not so easy. The resources don't exist to give everybody a luxury room at the Hyatt. So what happens is they mass produce these facilities that look like, shipping containers. And they say, this is where you have to wait because we don't know what we're going to do with you. But I'll tell you one thing. To AOC and to the progressives. Have you seen the news stories about what happens to these kids when they are not taken in by CBP or ICE? There are too many stories of children wandering through like 90 square miles of desert and then dropping dead. These are the stories that I think people don't want to hear. And that's the real challenge. But I'll tell you this. I understand why they do it. I do. America is amazing. And you all know it. These leftists who want to complain about this country, you got to recognize that people, especially kids and families, would risk their lives and the lives of their children, which I do not respect, wandering through desert with no supplies because they know the American dream is real. Now, that's a problem for us. We cannot allow people to just be dropping dead in our deserts. For that matter, I don't like the idea of letting people drop dead in the streets because they can't afford health care. They're being bankrupted by medical bills. Of course, these positions don't matter to those who claim that I'm, right wing or whatever. The problem is simple. If you want to complain about what Biden or Trump was doing or Obama was doing, I can respect calling out the problem. Like AOC saying that no matter which side you pick, it's controversial. I get it. And her solution, I don't agree with. Her, the getting rid of DHS doesn't solve this problem, right? So I'll put it this way. AOC is not offering us a real solution. Saying we need reform, I respect that, but that's not a solution. That's a call to have a brainstorming session on what to do about the problem. Saying get rid of DHS and ICE also is not a solution to the problem and would only make it worse. I'm not going to pretend to have the answers. That's why I'm kind of a milquetoast fence sitter on a lot of these things. I'm like, man, I don't know. I at least think we can't have the kids starving in the desert. There was that story from a year or so ago or a couple of years ago where some kid was picked up by CBP and then died in their custody. And everyone blamed CBP saying, oh, no, this child died. It's like, dude, the kid was sick before they picked. If that kid didn't get picked up, they would have just dropped dead in the desert. Like, I'm not a fan of that. I'm sorry. I would rather have CBP pick up kids in a pickup truck, bring them to a facility and give them what little care they possibly can. The world is not perfect. It is not candy canes and rainbows everywhere. I really would love to just, and I mean this, maybe we do a mini doc. I'll say it right now. I would absolutely love to hire a DP, a predator, probably not good context. Predator means producer, editor, to take a camera and bring one of these leftists down to any one of these countries and do a legit investigation into what's going on, and then go down to these areas, go down to the border, go down to, some of these cities in the Mexican border. It's dangerous stuff. It's really dangerous stuff. I think the most dangerous cities in Mexico actually are on the border with the U.S. A lot of cartel stuff, gang stuff. It's dangerous. Now, I understand why these people want to get out of these situations. And so I think many of these progressives need to understand, and I'm not saying they don't, I'm saying they should go down their experience, talk to these people, but then they should also, with a crew and safety and everything, wander through that 90 miles of desert And I think it would be a good idea because if we had a production crew, we could actually maybe save some lives from people who might actually drop dead in that desert. The problem then is, and the reason why it's really difficult to do this stuff, let me ask you a question. You're driving in a pickup truck. You got a camera crew. And you see some, migrants, coming in and they're in the desert and they're by themselves. They look sick. Do you give them food and supplies? That actually might be illegal. Do you call CBP? Well, now you're snitching on people. You see the problem? There's nothing you can really do other than just watch them collapse? No, I think you'd have to call CBP to save their lives. A lot of people say that there was one story about people who left food and water in the desert for migrants. I think they got in trouble. They may have gotten, the charges dropped or something. But they say it was illegal probably because you're littering, not because you're providing people with resources. But I got to tell you this. If I saw somebody in the desert, I don't care who you are. I don't care if you're a migrant, illegal immigrant, whatever you want to call it. If I got a jug of water and you're dehydrated, you're getting that jug of water. Sorry. If I don't know if that's a crime. I don't necessarily think it is. I think the people who got in trouble because they were littering or something, because they just left it there. And that's a bad idea because they're wild animals and stuff. But I'm going to try and preserve life and at whatever cost, you know what I mean? Like that comes first. People, listen, if you don't value the lives of people, then I don't know what the point of living is. You know what I mean? I think that comes first and foremost. I know people will often criticize me on the choice in life thing. By all means, please do. I don't have all the moral and ethical questions answered, and I probably never will. And so it's just tough. It is. Back to the political issue at hand, though. Joe Biden, his facilities are bursting at the seams. And you can see the establishment Democrats are offering up nothing. And then to make things worse, Joe Biden, and I want to make sure I talk about Operation Talon. Now, I just want to make sure I clarify. It is a production documentary term, Predator. And I have to make sure I make this clear because it's probably not the appropriate context considering we're talking about legit evil predators. Predator is a portmanteau of producer, editor, and it's a production term. In this capacity, now I'm reading the story. Predator is specifically about people targeting children in disgusting ways. Vern Buchanan wants to know why DHS and ICE ended Operation Talon, targeting predators in the country illegally. I would like to know this as well. He sent a letter to Homeland Security asking why Operation Talon was canceled just weeks after it was launched by the Trump administration. He said the operation should be reinstated immediately, and any illegal immigrants with a criminal record of assault against women or children should be prosecuted or deported. The congressman noted that 18 state attorneys general, including Florida's, have also requested that Biden reinstate the program. Why did Biden do this? I don't know, man. It is creepy stuff. I know a lot of people are already lighting up the comments saying, I know why Biden did it. Yeah, because Biden is a sicko, I guess, because Biden got all those videos about inappropriate touching of women and children, maybe. There's no answer. I gotta be honest. There's no answer. Biden has ended a bunch of programs or suspended them from the Trump administration. And the excuse from the establishment is always, well, we've got to review these things. We've got to review the Trump, orders and make sure they make sense. No, hold on. You don't shut them down. OK, you review them. And then if you find them to be bad, then you shut them down. Coming out right and just being, yeah, we're going to end this tracking down these child abusers. Like, why? Why are you doing that? I got no answer, man. I can only assume the worst. To be completely honest, that Biden, I suppose the worst is Biden doesn't care about these kids and these victims. And that makes sense. I mean, Biden himself seems to be an abuser. I'm not going to pretend like he's, there's a grand conspiracy involving Biden Democrats and like death cults. No, I'm just talking about the videos where he gropes women and stuff. We know what happens. Democrats have called him out for it. I don't know how that would relate to this, though. But I'm sorry, there's no legitimate reason why this would be shut down. So if you think you got the answer, by all means, tell me because I ain't seeing it. As for what's going to happen now with illegal immigration, I imagine with the ending of this program, with Joe Biden's lax stances towards illegal immigration, I think it's going to get worse. Well, Joe Biden wants to provide a path to citizenship for, I think, 11 million legal, what do they say? Unauthorized immigrants. We'll use that one because the media keeps having to change the phrase to not offend anybody. Because at first, the right would say illegal immigrant. The left would just say immigrant. And so there's a clear difference. And then so the AP is like unauthorized immigrant. Sure, whatever. That's the funny thing. I think the left has routinely tried to conflate illegal immigration with immigration because they're open borders. And they'll lie to you and say they're not for open borders. But all they try and do is redefine what open borders means. What the Democratic establishment is for is the freedom and ability to cross the border and become a serf in the United States. That's the easiest way I can explain it. You have like Joe Biden, a moratorium on deportations. You have Bernie Sanders saying, decriminalize border crossings. You had a bunch of Democrats saying the same thing. What that means is these people could just walk into the country. They walk in, they put their lives at risk. Many will die. And that's psychotic, in my opinion. That's why we do apprehend them. It's one of the reasons. But then they'll come into major cities where they can't legally work and they get paid under the table trash wages. Thus, the Democrats are advocating for the creation of a serf class. I'm not a fan of this. I think the reason you have immigration controls to make sure people don't die in the desert and to make sure that when we place people, we say, we've got an opportunity for you and your family. We can set you up in a certain location. The problem is everybody wants to come. I understand it. The line is massive. Jumping the line doesn't help anybody. It makes it worse. We need to make sure that when people come to this country, especially refugees, we know where we can send them, that they will flourish and be safe. Having people come in and wander through the desert and then go live in the gutter in a city is not helping anybody. A lot of these people were lied to. When the migrant caravans were coming, some of these people, many of them were interviewed saying they were told they would be let in and given a job. And that wasn't true. So who's doing the lying and why? I don't know. I'll leave it there. Next segment's coming up at 1 p.m. on this channel. Thanks for hanging out, and I will see you all then.